welcome to another episode of the Wayne Podcast. I'm joined today again by my co-podcaster, I guess we could say. Sugar Ray, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, thank you, man. Finally caught up on some sleep after those late nights watching them fights. So, yeah, we're here. How about yourself?
I'm with you, same thing. Caught up on some sleep, got back up, went to work, did the regular. But yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. This is what we're here for. We're here to recap arguably what some people are calling the best heavyweight fight in I don't know what I can't give a time period.
Listen, disclaimer. This is not Ray's view. I'm putting the disclaimer out there. Maybe of our generation, though.
You
Let's
can do that.
let's not let's
I
not
mean,
get caught up in the hyperbole.
I've heard some people say the best fight all time, century, generation, and stuff. Or in terms of what happened, but that's what we're here to break down. We're
Yeah.
here to break down the fight. So let's just get straight into it. Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, trilogy fight, 5 knockdowns, finishes with Fury knocking Deontay Wilder out in the 11th round.
Mm-hmm.
Just before we break down little bits and bats of that, did you expect the fight to go the way it went, or were you expecting something a little bit different?
I said in the last episode, this fight all depends on what Fury wants to turn up. And thankfully, the Fury that we needed to turn up, the Fury that we, despite people think I'm against this, I'm a big Fury hater. I've always said this about Fury. Is he talented? Yes. Is he gifted? Yes. Is he a brilliant boxer? Of course. But a lot of the time, it's a fact of what Fury is going to turn up. And the funny thing is, he even alluded to this at the end of the fight. I didn't think that's the best Fury that turned up, and that's how good he was. The fact that wasn't the best Fury that turned up, and he still managed to put in a performance like that, you got to hand it to him. The Gypsy King he done. He's finally defended a belt. He's finally defended after how long of being a. But no, I'm not going to diss him. This is his.
I think this is one of them episodes where you can't, based on everything that happened in that.
Yeah, I'll give it to him. I'll give him his credit.
Now, looking at the fight in a bit more detail, we can start off with certain. Oh, that's my phone. So we can start off in a bit more detail. We'll go on to, I guess, round 3.
Mm-hmm.
The Wilder knockdown. When that happened, at what point did you realize, okay, Wilder's now going to struggle? And did you expect what happened in round 4 to happen afterwards?
I realized Wilder was going to struggle because the two things. As soon as he took off the ring gear, the walking gear, I was just like, Wilder looks like he's got a prison build. Like up top, he's solid, and his legs still look skinny as ever. So from the first round, he just didn't look like his stance just made him look like he wasn't balanced at all times. Maybe that's also, you have to add in just Tyson Fury's stature in the ring, near 7 foot, heavier guy. You're always going to be on the back foot, but it looked like Wilder could never sit on those punches. But he had a very good first round, and man, Wilder, I just said to myself, imagine if Wilder was a much more disciplined fighter.
Yeah.
How much of a more competitive fight that would have been, because the tactic of going to the body in the first round, I was just like, this is what he needed to do.
I loved it. Same thing. When I saw him going to the body, I was thinking, okay, wait, going to the body, you can then go for the right later on. Going for the body is good. But I just felt like once he got hit, he went to old Wilder, which was, I need to now finish you.
Oh, Lord.
So I think a lot of people, like even my friends who are a bit more casual, were like, he's just too tired. He just seemed too tired. And he's putting a lot of weight behind, trying to load up the right.
Yeah.
And you could pick it off where he wanted to. I don't know if you've slowly started seeing that throughout the fight.
He reverted back to type, but unfortunately for him, he tried to test drive in the real fight, which is he put on a lot of weight, and I don't know how his sparring went with that new weight gain that he had, but sometimes, well, I'm about to say, if it's not broke, don't fix it. It was broke, but I don't think this was the right solution to fix it. him putting on that extra weight of muscle, I think just made him more tired.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think he should have made the adjustment of like just staying the weight he was, because at the end of the day, the weight he was before, he was still knocking guys out. He still dropped Tyson with the weight that he was at before. So it's like whether he had enough time to work on his footwork, I think that would have been the better thing to put time in on, in just making sure his footwork was good rather than putting on weight, because the added weight just looked like it didn't do anything, honestly.
So it's interesting you talk about added weight because both fighters came in the heaviest.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of, I guess, now obviously hindsight is a big thing where you can see the fact that Fury ended up winning the fight and he looked in control. When we look at both fighters, at what
Yeah.
point do you think, when you look at, I guess, Tyson Fury, because we've seen the fact that it was a deficit to Wilder to have that weight, because he got quite, I guess, tired quite quickly with his legs and his upper body. With Tyson Fury, on the other hand, with weight, he just seems slick all the time, constantly. Ish. At what point do you look at Tyson Fury and think, okay, maybe we can just remove the concept of weight with you, and when, because that also became
I'm not giving. Do you know what? Because even there's people in the pub that were supporting Tyson Fury, and even they said, and like I said, even Tyson Fury alluded to it, he wasn't in the best shape. And fortunately for Tyson Fury, is that Wilder reverts back to type, which is I'm just going to swing. But when you're as good as Tyson Fury, you can see the swings coming. And a lot of the time, I forgot what round it was, but we were saying it at the place we was watching it at. Everyone could just see Tyson Fury knew the swing was coming. Tyson would literally move before Deontay Wilder's even thrown the punch because he's that predictable.
Yeah.
Like, I remember me and my boy Sam was messaging each other throughout the fight. And then Sam at the end goes, listen, all respect to Wilder, but how are you that level of a pro and you still struggle to throw a straight right? Like, that's crazy to me. Like, that is so crazy that at that level, you still struggle to throw a straight right when you're in finishing mode. It always has to be a wild swing. And I think with Tyson, at this point, it's not even like he's timing it to dodge it. He's like preempting it so much that he's already moved his head out of the way before Wilder's even thrown it. It's not like the way people give Canelo like his dues when he's doing it, like when he was doing it against Danny Jacobs. It's literally Danny Jacobs is mid punch, bam, 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 and Canelo's this, there, boom, bam, bam, bam.
Wilder was
as soon as his punch was there, Fury's already just like he's already backed up or he's already ducked it. So then by the time Wilder's thrown, and the added weight doesn't help because by the time Wilder's thrown, it's like Fury's just like I've seen it, I know what's coming. So, and for me, Wilder's even lucky. I think Wilder's even more lucky that Fury decided to fight the fight that he did, because Fury decided to get into a firefight for no reason. I was watching that thinking, if Wilder was a more astute and smarter fighter, he could have got Fury out of there. Because Fury decided he wanted to engage in a firefight.
I see. This is where I'll disagree with you, and the reason I'll say that is when he got him down in the fourth, got him down twice in the fourth.
Yeah,
I think, and it'll go. I personally think it's a bit of a psychological thing.
Yeah.
I think after the fourth, once he got him down twice and realized he has gotten up, how do I take him out? I personally think Wilder personally thought this is going to be one of them days where I think that's because I said when I watched.
But he didn't land cleanly. If he landed, I hear what you're saying. If Wilder landed cleanly, and Fury still rose. Like if it was like the first fight, you know when he decked him right on the button. If he decked him right on the button, and then it was just like crap, like he's knocked out. Well, we thought he knocked out Tyson Fury, and then Tyson rose up again. Then I'd get why I'd be disheartened. A lot of the knockdowns were more accumulation of punches. Obviously, it's not to say that it's just minor, but it's more the accumulation of punches that knocked down Fury. A lot of the time, got hit on the temple, you lose your equilibrium, you drop to the floor. But there wasn't times when, like, you could see a punch connected on Tyson and it was clean. Like, the way Tyson knocked out Wilder was
that was.
clean. Yeah, do you get what I'm saying? That's clean. That is a bam, felt the full
But
force right on the jaw.
I also think with the knockout, it was accumulation of
Of course.
tiredness,
Yeah.
constantly out of, and then you were just there. Because if you see, like what we just alluded to, the swing, Wilder goes for the swing, and Fury's just like, just give me a moment, let me duck this, and let me hit you clean.
It was angering me so much because I'm just there looking at it thinking, imagine if Wilder was just patient. Because my thing is, if he stuck to his tactics at the beginning, like his coach was telling him to, take his time, the way that Tyson was fighting with him, while I wouldn't say Wilder would have won, but he could have caught Tyson Fury a bit more.
But see, this is where, for me, rounds 3 and 4, in terms of like how a boxing fight goes when it comes to knockouts, came too early, because 3 rattled Wilder, in my opinion, where he was flawed, and then round 4, when he got him twice, I actually think that Wilder switch came where
of course,
finish, get this finishing.
He turned into a desperate man.
Yeah, and that's then handed Fury the initiative, because after, personally, as much as I love Wilder, I felt like he had outswung himself and he had gotten too tired. And that was my problem. I think Fury was able to school him a little bit personally.
Yeah.
And I don't think
for sure.
He didn't feel the struggle. And as the fight progressed, carried on, it kept going, you could see the tiredness in the legs of Wilder, the way he was actually punching respectfully to him wasn't of a standard of a heavyweight world title fight. As much as the entertainment value, it was a bit not amateur, but a bit
No, it was. Listen, at the end of the day, this is also why when people say, "Oh, this might be the greatest, this and third," I'm saying no, because Wilder is a good partner for Fury. Now, the thing with Wilder is, ironically, Wilder done what people in AJ to do. F trying to box Usyk, go in there, swing for the fences. Now, that's because you're swinging for the fences. Don't mean be too reckless, but it's like, and listen, Tunde Ajayi made it famous, empty the tank. That's what Wilder basically done. Wilder said, I'm about to, 4th round, he said, I'm going to empty the tank because there's no way I'm outboxing this guy. And so after that, that's why Wilder was just basically running on fumes. And that's when I will give Wilder all the credit for, because a lot of people might say he's delusional, he's this, he's that. Let me tell you something. He has, I'd say, the borderline, a healthy enough amount of delusion. But in all honesty, a straight thinking person with Wilder's ability wouldn't make it where he is. That's being honest.
I understand what you
They
mean.
would not make it where Wilder is so deluded in a good way that he thinks, even though I may not,
I am the better man.
Yeah. Like, not even just that. The fact that he knows that I haven't got boxing skills like I need to, but I know what tools I do have, and this right hand will get me to where I need to get to. Most like straight thinking people would be like, yeah, this right hand can get me where I need to get to, but at some point I might need to work on this or I'm not going to make it. Whereas Wilder was just like, this is going to take me to the top. And it's delusional, but ironically, that delusion that Wilder has, AJ needs. AJ needs that delusion of, I'm not losing, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to swing for the fences and I'm going to die on my shield. But obviously, there's a certain level. Everything is within balance, because obviously, the only bad side with Wilder is just that delusion doesn't allow him to accept defeat. Yeah, he gets too warped and he doesn't accept defeat. Whereas AJ on the other side, what it appears is like you're too gun shy, like you're overthinking, like you're going away from who you are. Do you get what I'm saying? AJ, deep down, AJ should know he's a puncher. He's done the right thing in that even though he's a puncher, he learned how to box. But you are a puncher. That's what you should know. So it's such a weird dynamic. I was just like, I was saying in one of my group chats, all 3 fighters mentally are just like they're not wired right, to put it politely. But
I
it's
get
like,
it.
but to be at that level, most people, you have to have
You're not,
something that most people don't. Yeah, you can't be, because I
because
think with
in the right
Fury,
works on
yeah,
a project to be like, my goal is to I'm going to get hit in the head by a man that's 250, 60 pounds.
yeah,
Like, I could easily collapse on the ring, but the other side of this is I'm going to become a world champion.
world
Like,
champion.
yeah.
To
So
be
you
a
have,
world champion, you gotta have the minerals that most people don't. But at the same time, the key word today, I guess, is balance. Because with Fury, it's like he's got all the technical skills in the world, but he has cases of self-sabotaging a lot. And even this fight, I feel like, is this guy trying to self-sabotage? Why is he fighting Wilder like this? That's why I couldn't rate Fury's performance as up there with some of the greats, because I'm looking at it thinking, if you're so great, you do not need to go and win fights like that. The reason why Mayweather was great was because he went in there and he imposed his will on what he's good at. Don't get me wrong, Mayweather had a few wars. I remember against Miguel Cotto, Mayweather fought a fight that he doesn't really fight like that. But I think the respect he had for Cotto, and just, I guess he wanted to be more crowd pleasing that fight, so he decided to engage in a war, and he got his nose bloodied as well. And I think sometimes that comes with the fact that he was dominant for so long. He probably just needed that rush of like, I want to be in a war. Whereas Tyson Fury, I'm looking at it like,
you don't
you
need
don't
them.
have to. Yeah, you don't need to do that. So that's why I was just like, why is he? I'm confused of why he's fighting with that. Then you got Wilder, whose delusion has brought him to this level where he's overachieved, in my opinion, with his technical ability and his over reliance on that right hand. He's overachieved. Then you got AJ, where it's a case of he's lost his way in regards to the type of his fighter identity. So I think all three of them, but also with AJ, is that he's also got that stubbornness in him to take him to the top, even when, you know, well, before his technical ability didn't catch up with his punching power, but he managed to make it to the top. But now it's almost like AJ needs to go back to the well and find
He
that
needs to be
AJ,
what he was
yeah,
originally.
he needs to
Don't
find that stubbornness. He needs to find that stubbornness and just go back to saying to himself, just be who you are. Because a lot of people say that the Klitschko fight changed him, which I understand as well, because he was on the brink of winning it, then he was on the brink of losing it,
and then he
then he
won it.
won it again.
Yeah.
But it can change you. And I don't know whether, because people point out the Ruiz fight, but I think a lot of people say no, the Klitschko fight is the one that really like
Changed him.
it slowly changed him. Because remember, after they fought with Joseph Parker, he didn't go in to clean out Joseph Parker's clock.
No. Yeah.
After that, and I think Pulev fight, I thought, okay, maybe that same AJ's back now. But then Usyk, he went in there to try boxer when you're a puncher. So it's an interesting time. But listen, man, shout out the Gypsy King. He went in. No, honestly, he went in there. He imposed his will. He imposed his will in a way that I think was a bit risky and he didn't need to do, because with getting dropped twice, it was just like you were getting touched by his. For me, his performance in the second fight is way better than the one in the third.
Mm. So with that, we're gonna talk a bit more about obviously going forward what's the heavyweight division like. But before then, we want to hear you guys as we let us know about the review of the fight. Do you think Wilder now has to look at himself in a different way? What's the future with Fury? We're going to talk about that, but beforehand, we need you to follow all our socials. The Instagram's there, underscore the Wayne, underscore Twitter's the same, underscore the Wayne, underscore share, like, subscribe, all that good
All of
stuff.
that.
You page, you know what to do. We want to hear all your interactions as well. That is the main thing. We want to
Tell a
hear.
friend to tell a friend and put in your auntie's group chats and tell them to send that out as well.
You heard it there. So let's stick on this. And I guess we've taken the trilogy. Some people have spoke about it as it is. One thing I'm going to now touch on before I talk about future fighters, I guess, is where we rank both guys now. When Usyk beat Joshua, you had Usyk. A lot of people said Usyk's number one.
Yeah.
Then you can have Fury, Joshua, whatever your rankings are. Now
Mm-hmm.
that we've had Fury retain his title, Wilder loses, does your ranking change at all, or do you still have Fury as a number 2 or a number 3? Or can you put him number 1 in the heavyweight boxing rankings?
This is, I know I'm going to get people, you just don't like Fury, you're biased. I think he's tied at the top because at the end of the day, as magnificent as the feat was, and this is me comparing Fury to his own standards, like I said, that second performance was way better than this one. Because the second performance, one, he was in better shape, and two, he fought like he needed to. He didn't take as much damage that he didn't need to. So for me, and it's a case of you've beaten the same guy 3 times. Now it's not an easy feat to do what he done, but you have beaten the same
Two
guy
out
3
of
times.
3 officially. 2 out of
Two
3.
2 out of 3 officially. So for me, what I need to see now is a string of wins from Fury. So I think that's why it's kind of like I want to put him number 1, but we need that string of wins from Fury just to put it so there's no doubt.
Okay.
Because at right now, resume wise, you could still argue Fury's got the bigger wins over AJ, but AJ, on the average of who's on their resume, has the better resume.
Yeah.
So, and with Usyk coming in with a very good resume in his own prior weight class, and now doing what he's done at heavyweight, I can't say that there's much difference in Fury and Usyk because Usyk is, to be fair, Usyk has fought all the best that he's had to face, and then he captured the belt. Fury, on the other hand, fought a great in Klitschko, then he took a break, then he beat, he done the right thing. He took some tune-up fights to get him back in shape for Wilder. Then he beat Wilder. Then he took 1 or 2 fights where he didn't look too impressive. Then he beat Wilder again. Then he beat Wilder first time. Then he beat Wilder again this time. So now it's like, okay, if you then, which he should, on paper, get past Dillian White, then that's another good name on your resume. And then I'd say, do you know what? He's number 1.
Yeah.
But currently, I can't put him past Usyk for the simple fact that if we're looking at quality of opponents, is not, you've beaten the same guy twice officially and draw the first time, whereas Usyk has beaten, other than, okay, yeah, his first 2 heavyweight fights weren't the greatest people, but then he beat Joshua, so I can't put Fury ahead of Usyk. Or if I do put Fury ahead of Usyk, it's only for a tiny bit, only because Fury has been in heavyweight longer.
Okay.
And he's got 1 or 2 bigger names than Usyk, but it's not a far reach out to say that Fury is better than Usyk right at the moment.
And then what about Wilder? Because we're going to touch on next fights because I want to keep it with Wilder first then. Because I think Fury's path's a lot more easier because obviously what has been...
He's won.
Yeah. With Wilder then, I guess the first thing is, in terms of his placement in the heavyweight rankings, where are we looking for that? And second, what's next for him? Like, is it an American... For me, the way I look at it is, he'll still be a top 5, but I think he's going to have one of them American fights where it's going to go back to where a casual wouldn't watch a Deontay Wilder fight because it's going to be in front of 15, 16,000 people, if that, and he'll knock somebody out within the first 3-4 rounds. Do you think that's going to happen, or can you see Andy Ruiz fight or something like that just within that North American market?
Like I said before, all roads still lead to AJ. If AJ loses, that's Wilder's then going to be like, yo, we might as well make this fight because it's been on the books. It's still like going to be that whole thing of, well, Tyson Fury / Usyk might be the best guys, but they've got a personal score to sell, which can still sell because AJ is still the cash cow. Wilder's still got that right hand that makes things unpredictable. So he's got that option. he's got the other option of Ruiz as well. Can Ruiz build his brand up again to be a world beater? So we'll see how Ruiz looks, and then the way I see it, Wilder's got one or two options, and if those one or two options are Usyk, sorry, Ruiz or AJ, and if those two options don't work out, I don't think Wilder will stick around, because at this point of his career, he's in an awkward stage of his name is big enough not to have to fight rising contenders again, but can you motivate yourself to, especially at his age as well, and the payday I'm sure that he probably got was quite hefty and nice. Can you motivate yourself to fight after the war you just had with people that's not for the championship? And I don't think, unless it's a big payday in Ruiz or Anthony Joshua, I can't see Wilder coming back for anything else. Or maybe he might just take one more tune-up fight,
Right.
just to end his career on a win. Maybe a good farewell bout that he'll just do it just to end on a win. But I don't think that, unless it's AJ or unless it's Ruiz, I can't see Wilder coming back.
So are we still keeping Wilder in the top 5 rankings though, or is he slipping out? Because
He's there by default.
I was just going to say, is he there by default because of a lack of choice? Because
Yeah.
from the top of my head, I really think Dillian White, Joshua Usyk,
Joe Joyce.
Joe Joyce, I guess. But I think for him, it's more of the thing that, like how you said about Fury Usyk, similar, even though Wilder suffered 2 losses, you look at him, world champion, defended it for so many fights.
Here's the only asterisk against Wilder. Who did he beat?
Ortiz.
Past the Ortiz? No, but Brazil when he beat Brazil, was that before AJ had beaten him or after? It was after AJ had beaten him, if I remember.
And who did he win the belt off and then knocked him out? Stefan. So he came back, avenged that, or knocked him out.
Yeah, but
it's. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Resume wise, this is why how this Wilder and Fury thing even came about. Remember, because Wilder,
no elite resume like a Joshua's, where you can look at 7-8 fights consistently. I think value.
Yeah, it's like, even though they may not have the biggest names, but at least Joshua, you can say, listen, these were the number 1 contender mandatories. Do you get what I'm saying? That he fought. So that's why a lot of people always say that, well, at the moment, AJ still has a better resume than Fury, because apart from Fury's bigger wins, when he wasn't fighting those 2 guys, which are Klitschko and Wilder, he fought people that weren't even ranked top 10, top 15, top 20. Whereas AJ is like, he did beat Klitschko, and you could argue he beat a more motivated and in better shape Klitschko. But with AJ, it's like, he beat top guys. They may not be the names of Wilder, but he still beat top guys. So by default, he's got a better resume. This is why I said, now if Fury faces against Dillian White, well, let's hope that Otto Wallen fight's not a banana peel. And if I was Dillian White, I don't know, maybe it's because contractually they've sold enough tickets for the O2, but if I was Dillian White, I back out of that Otto Wallen fight and I'd just go face Fury. Just face Fury for next year. Just say, well, it all depends. White might just want to get a tune-up fight anyway, just to get him ready. So hopefully White goes through that without too much issues against Otto Wallin. And then, I think if Fury faces White next, that'll be a good scalp for, if Fury was to win, that'll be a good scalp on his resume. And then we can start saying about Fury, okay, all that stuff before about how he's always finds a way out to self-sabotage, even though he's as good as he is, or he doesn't defend his belt as much. Because the one thing to become champion, but to stay champion, is a whole lot more. And I think that's what now you need from Fury is, can you stay champion against someone that's not named Wilder? And I don't even think Fury has that many fights in him as well, because by his comments, he doesn't sound motivated.
I think I'm kind of with you because I said that I expected him to retire if he
Yeah.
lost. I don't see a Joshua Fury fight anytime soon anyway. So I think I'm kind of with you. I think that
I think it all depends on if AJ. This is the way I see it. If AJ wins, he definitely wants that AJ fight.
yeah,
If AJ loses again, I don't know. He might still face Usyk. I don't think he'll face Usyk
mm,
because just the politics of it all. I don't think that they'll do it. However, I still feel like if he was to face Usyk, I don't know if he will get the same motivated Tyson Fury.
yeah,
Because if he wasn't, like I said, even for this fight, he said it himself, he wasn't even in the best shape for this fight. So it's like, can he motivate himself? I think for Dillian White, he can motivate himself. He will. But for Usyk, the challenge and the thrill of it might not be there for him. That's always the thing with Tyson Fury. He says himself, is the thrill of it there? He loves it. He loves living on that thrill of things. And if the thrill of it or the excitement isn't there in the Usyk fight,
it's not going to materialize.
I would even think that, listen, if AJ was to lose to Usyk, I still even think if Fury then was to beat Dillian White, I think Tyson Fury would say, Usyk can wait. I want AJ first because
Yeah,
that thrill of he wants to be known as UK number one, even though many people do see it in their eyes that Fury, but I think Fury just wants to put a stamp on it just to say, I'm the UK number one. And I feel like, as crazy as this sounds, if Fury was to beat AJ in that instant, I think he might even say, I don't even need undisputed. F it.
yeah, I'm done it. I've done
Yeah.
because he'll use obviously defending his Ring Magazine title. I mean, technically, he would have defended
Yeah.
6 to 7 times.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So he would have defended that, and then you got the belts where he would have defended that 3 times. And then you look at his resume; he's beaten in, I guess, in this like heavyweight sphere, the two best outside of Usyk, because I don't think Usyk's come on the scene, but the
Yeah.
initial three was obviously Wilder, Joshua, and Fury. So if he
Yeah.
both of them to, I think Usyk will be put to one side, and I think I'm kind of with you. And it just
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that and don't need to
Yeah.
really.
I think Tyson Fury will probably say, listen, Usyk, go face Joe Joyce and let me get this money fight with AJ.
Yeah,
Yeah, he'll probably be like, let me get the money fight with AJ. And if he wins, whether he wins or loses,
yeah,
that money fight with AJ will be like, well, people, it's been real. I've given my life to this sport. On to the next venture. I think he's ready to do that now.
yeah,
But I would very much like him to face Dillian White. I really think that one, that will excite him, and two, it will be good for his resume to beat a top ranked contender other than Wilder, and three, it will help him build his. As much as he likes to say he's a fighter man and he'll go anywhere, I know for a fact that this guy wants to fight in the UK and have a big crowd like AJ has.
Oh,
And
I think he's openly said that he wants Old Trafford.
I don't know. No, but here's the thing. This is
Sem-
why the Dillian White fight is key.
yeah,
If he can beat Dillian White, let's say they sell out the O2. If he can beat Dillian White in a sold out O2, then I might think, okay, Old Trafford's possible.
mm,
But he also knows that with AJ is gonna listen. Wembley, Tottenham, whatever big London stadium it is, he knows that AJ is big bank. So I think that's what he really wants.
mm.
All roads lead back to AJ.
I mean,
Is
you
what
said
it is.
just quickly. Do you not think
Hmm.
Manchester Arena could work for Dillian White and Fury then?
Yeah, of course, but I don't. Arena wise in the UK,
Yeah,
I'm of the presumption that O2 is the biggest arena in the UK. But if you were smart, yeah, do that in Manchester. Sell out Manchester Arena because that's
yeah,
more near his hometown. And then if you can sell out Old Trafford, sell out Old Trafford. But I think as well with Fury, the connection with Old Trafford is it's kind of like people know he's from up north, but he doesn't really.
It doesn't stick like that.
Yeah, it doesn't. But I think that's also on him because look at Tony Bellew when he done Everton's ground, he done Goodison.
Yeah.
Because people know when it comes to Liverpool, Bellew is from there. He he wears on his sleeve.
I don't think he's ever given it off. I mean, I was kind of surprised when he did the Lancashire chant at the end anyway.
Yeah.
Caught
I
me
think
off.
he's trying to build that. I think he's trying to build that rapport. But is it too little, too late? Who knows? But guess what? With this win, he's also built superstardom. So as long as he doesn't go away for too long and he doesn't indulge in party life too much, obviously take some rest. You are going to party, but just don't with him. And he says himself, he just has to control himself from going overboard with indulging in lifestyle outside of boxing. So it's looking exciting for British boxing. I'm glad he's at least one of the heavyweight titles is in the UK. Obviously, Usyk, I'm sure, is going to rematch Anthony Joshua in the UK. If Anthony Joshua can find the old him and sort Usyk out, then the excitement's back on.
But yeah, I think we're going to just leave it there.
Yeah.
I'm kind of with you. But before we go, we do obviously want you guys' opinions. So again, like we always say, like, share, and subscribe if you are enjoying the content, and comment as well. What is your top 5 rankings? Where do you put Wilder? Is Usyk number 1 or is Tyson Fury number 1? Follow us on all our socials: Instagram _ the weigh in _ Twitter the same _ the weigh in _ and also let us know what do you see for both fighters. Do you expect a Wilder fight against an Andy Ruiz? Do we see Fury versus Dillian White? Let us know about everything. We want to hear everything. Ray, any last comments?
Fury, I've given you a lot of stick. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So Fury, much credit to you. Congratulations. But please stay the course for at least a few more fights. And let's build up that resume. If you want to put a stamp on you being the best in the UK, I'm backing you for it. So go for it.
And with that, we are going to wrap up another episode of the Weigh In Podcast. This has been our review of Fury versus Wilder 3. Really appreciate you guys always coming on.
Love as always.
Keep commenting and everything, and love for all your comments as well and views.
Stay weighed in, people.